It's hard to believe it was 3 years ago that I was standing on this very stage, and I am once again faced with following up an incredible student performance. Can we give another round of applause for Benji? Wow. Hello, everyone. My name is David Menenberg, and it has been my pleasure to have taught many of these young people. And before I exceed your very realistic expectations for a life-changing 5-minute speech, I should tell you that I am fluent in the language of sarcasm, which simply means that if I hurt your feelings, it was intentional, and you should definitely take it personally. Is it just me, or did the last year feel like 4 years? Any chance we can get that reflected in the salary schedule? No? Okay. I was mowing the lawn the other day, and if you ever mow the lawn, you'll get this. There's a moment that comes towards the end where you look back, sweat on your brow, and you see row after row of perfectly cut, even, straight green lines, and you inhale that smell of freshly cut grass. There's nothing quite like it. And there's this feeling of deep satisfaction that washes over you as you survey the work of your hands. As we finish out this year, and really the last few years, it feels a lot like that, except the lines aren't quite straight. We missed a lot of spots. There's a bunch of weeds. The grass isn't so much green as it is brown, and the lawnmower's on fire. But the lawn got mowed. You're graduates. Parents, families, staff, we got them over the finish line. And as we look back on the last few years, I think we can all agree that this may not have been our finest work. It's funny, I was worried my allotted time wasn't going to be enough, but then I realized that 5 minutes is actually like 12 times most of their attention spans, and because this isn't a meme or a TikTok video, there's a good chance we might have to adjust our expectations a bit. But I want to talk to you today about a tradition here at Eastlake known as the pre-ask. High schoolers today will, before creatively making a large sign to officially ask somebody, they will pre-ask somebody to a dance, usually through a friend. Hypothetically, if so-and-so were to ask you to the dance, would you say yes? The pre-ask, at its core, is a cowardly social practice that is designed to help a person, the asker, avoid rejection and/or avoid putting another person, the askee, in a potentially awkward spot. Sounds harmless enough, right? Thoughtful even. Let me start with the most obvious problem with the pre-ask. You see, the last couple of years, for a few fairly good reasons, we have become a little risk-averse, haven't we? But the truth is that if you don't want to settle for an ordinary life, you're going to have to take risks. And while some of these risks might be calculated, there are going to be many times where we simply will not have the luxury of the pre-ask. Ooh, this just got real, didn't it? It's not about the pre-ask anymore, isn't it, Mr. Menenberg? That's right, Joey, it's not. We naturally fear rejection and failure, but these things are an absolute certainty. I remember getting turned down my freshman year when I asked a girl to homecoming. Shocking, I know. But do you think I'd let that rejection, that failure, deter me from ever asking another person out? Of course not. To be sure, it is still a mystery how I convinced Mrs. Menenberg to go on a date, let alone marry me, but that's a story for another day. My friends, how we respond to failure is often what comes to define who we are as people. And the sooner we get this, the sooner you can get back on your feet, and the stronger you will ultimately become. It has been said that ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Pre-asking is the easy road. You're going to have to learn how to hear no. But you must also learn how to say no. Point number 2. The pre-ask denies your potential date the opportunity to practice saying one of the most important words in any language. No. No. As you consider the path you are taking to achieve whatever success looks like for you, you must consider the power of this 2-letter word. You see, if you can learn when and how to say no, you're going to find yourself being more present, more awake, and more engaged with the things that truly matter to you. And saying no doesn't mean that you won't also want to or have to say yes on occasion. No just acts as a filter to make sure that you have your priorities straight, because if you haven't realized already, there aren't going to be any retakes or corrections in the real world. That girl who turned me down all those years ago, I actually came to have a greater respect for her for being upfront with me. And saying no is going to help you determine healthy boundaries in your personal and professional lives. It will help you become an individual, someone who isn't afraid to take chances and go against the grain. This brings me to my last point. By foregoing the pre-ask, you will avoid one of the greatest pitfalls of our society, being like everyone else. So much of our culture is consumed by fear. Fear of failure, of rejection, even fear of success. How much more will you stand out then if you stop, reject the groupthink mentality, and forge your own path? The pre-ask, just like everyone else. If you want to stand out, if you want to think for yourself, if you want to do something few people have done before you, reject the pre-ask. It will not only set you apart, but it will impress everyone around you, from future employers to significant others. So be bold, my friends. Risk rejection and failure. Stand out. Say no. Think for yourself. And do not pre-ask. Whatever happens, success or failure, we'll be rooting for you. Congratulations, class of 2022. It has been a pleasure and an honor.